There we are.
There we are. We're on both. Hello, everyone.
Awkward smile.
Awkward smile. Sorry. You want to know what's funny about this? Is we've been sitting here for about 15 minutes. We were actually on time and ready to start live on time for a change.
And then we got chatting.
And then we got talking. And that happens.
That's what brought us here, too. So,
exactly.
Yeah, welcome.
Exactly. So, hello, everyone. Hello. Welcome to, I've been calling this, so here's the thing. Because we say that so often.
Here's the thing, and then I was trying out today real estate and mortgage top up.
It is a top up.
It's a top up.
It's gonna be a top up.
Just top up that beer.
So I am Jamie Vasey, Mortgage Jedi.
I'm Sandy Hare with the Hare Real Estate Collective at Remax Real Estate Center in Guelph.
Yes. So it's exciting times for us. But first, we have to pay homage to our unofficial sponsor. They didn't know they were sponsoring us. We just happened to choose them.
Yeah.
But the fine people at Wellington Brewery. I originally had picked a completely different beer, and then killing off time tonight, I went into the LCBO and I saw this wonderful thing called Old Buddy, which
I always say, "Yeah, buddy." That's my thing.
Buddy.
Yeah, buddy.
It's a brown ale, which I love brown ales.
Yeah,
and so I'm very excited to try this, and it's got espresso in it, which
I'm into things that taste like coffee.
Yeah, I'm especially into coffee.
Yeah.
So this is exciting, and you have chosen.
Actually, I originally had chosen. I actually have two to talk about. Fresh Off the Wire is like a small batch that Wellington did, and look at that fun comic booky artwork. They explained it to me as like all of the staff went out and like did a what do you call it, like a day, like a retreat team building thing or whatever, and then they came up with this beer. It has like 4 or 5 ingredients, and it is exquisite. I've never actually tasted a beer before. I may actually give you one of these to take home with you. It's a beer because I have a ton in my beer fridge. Come by my office. But it has, you can taste every flavor.
That's awesome.
You can taste all of it.
Like that's when you know they did it right. When you can pick out all the flavors.
This one, I might actually drink this.
Yes.
Because I was actually on the website because I added some links. So if you go on my live, you can see the links for like government incentives, website. I was early and I was working hard for the money today, I guess. But anyway, so and I saw this artwork and I thought, this is so me. Like it's kind of girly and kind of metal at the same time. But this is not a word spoken apricot IPA, and I haven't tried this yet, and I don't know how this got past my radar.
See, to me, this is the melding pot for Sandy and I, because it's an IPA, which is definitely up your alley.
I love
but IPAs. I love things that have like different fruit or other flavors in it, like that apricot or whatever. So,
I think I did try this at Finn McCool's once. I think I did.
I am shocked.
I might go to Finn.
No.
Shout out to Finn McCool's Guelph.
Yeah. No kidding. Otherwise known as Sandy's third home.
It's my second office.
Your second office,
my second office, third home. Yeah, that's what it is. So we're gonna pop this and we're gonna get rolling, because this is the long nail lifestyle, man.
No, you got it.
I've adapted.
All right.
Yeah.
So should we get with the announcements? Cheers. Should we get with the announcements right off the top?
Yeah, let's do that.
First announcement, if you check the link bar that Sandy posted on her page, you will see that I have officially launched the new website.
It's out there.
Yay! MortgageJedi.ca. It is, I'm very happy about it. It's a bit of labor of love. It's taken some time, but it's a video-based website, which I think, so you go on there and everything you click on, there's videos for first-time buyers, new to Canada, refinancing, consolidating debt, like you name it.
Really good.
There's like 2 to 3 minute quick videos that really explain it, and I've taken a lot of time and effort into this and gotten a lot of critique from Janet on each one. Go Janet. Yeah, go Janet. And so I'm very excited about it. So please check it out. I'd love to hear your feedback because it's a constantly evolving thing.
I liked it. I really like the moving space. I like the Star Warsiness of it, but also it's so I have a link. So if you're watching on my page, if you go down to the bottom of the text title or whatever, there's on the bottom is Jamie's website. It's really great. It's a nice, easy way for them to reach out to you.
And the nice thing is it's informative for both realtors and clients alike.
I think so,
because there's a lot of as realtors. Let's be honest. As realtors, Some of you did the mortgage course as part of your, like, the mortgage class as part of your thing, and most of, like, it's kind of glassed over look or what have you.
I took it, did not pass it, moved on to the next one.
Yeah. See, so that's
mortgage ain't my thing.
So if you need quick answers, because oftentimes clients will ask you mortgage questions because they assume you know, it's just like they ask me real estate questions. They just assume because we work interchangeably, we know. So it can be a really good, helpful top up for various information.
No, that's true. Oh my God, I made a mess. Oh my God.
It's okay. Second big announcement. After 25 years, after 25 years since the last time it happened, this Saturday at Rhythm and Brews in Cambridge,
okay,
I will be performing stand-up comedy.
Stop! Yes. No! What day?
On Saturday.
No! What day? What time? What time?
I think the show starts at 8. I think.
Damn! I'm at a Halloween party that night.
You know, I went to they do a comedy show there every month. Actually, starting in the new year, it'll be bi-weekly. And Janet, myself, my brother, my sister-in-law, we all went last month. And Jeff and I, my brother and I, were just making quips and comments while the comics were on stage. And the guy who runs the shows was just howling at some of the comments that we were making. And so we were talking with him afterwards, and I told him how I used to do comedy. He goes, "Well, you should come back. You should do it again." Yeah. And so he's giving me like 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever, on stage this Saturday. So I'm like, okay, sure, why not?
Oh my God, I wish I'm going to a costume party, and I really love Halloween.
Well, depending on how it goes, it may not be the last time.
I really want to see you do stand-up comedy. I know how hard you've been working on it, and I'm really excited. I'll confess to you, stand-up comedy has always been a small little maybe of mine. Yeah. I love stand-up comedy, but it's so grueling, and I think, I don't know. You're so brave.
Yes,
I'm proud of you.
Juno, yes, I wrote an entirely new set specifically for this, since the jokes that were 25 years old didn't necessarily apply.
They're not palatable?
Not so much. Apparently, Rodney King is not the social media. Like, it's not a reference people get anymore. I just
talking about OJ's. What is it? His Yukon or whatever.
Bronco.
Bronco.
The white Bronco. Anyway, so
Bronco jokes don't fly.
They don't. They don't. Yeah. So all new material, entirely new set.
Oh, I'm so proud of you. I'm so excited.
Yeah,
I'm unbelievably
I'm kind of excited about it too.
It's sad. I want a text message. I want to know how it went.
I'll let you.
But I want to. Yeah. Oh my God. Damn.
Yeah, so it's
you need to let me know way ahead of time.
Well, I'll be honest. It was one of those things where I wasn't sure I wanted to let people know ahead of time. I was kind of like, let's see how it goes, and then go from there. So I figured I'd give them little notice whatsoever, so they all had plans already. But it's gonna be fun.
I would have made a T-shirt. You know. I would have made some kind of, I'm with the Mortgage Jedi or something like.
So
I would have made a banner and like held it up. Something.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so exciting! Good for you.
Thanks. So
this is the evolution.
It's been a really busy month and a half. Since we last did one of these. And I know for you, I've been
chaos, man. Like with the transitions, everybody knows. Like I've transitioned over to this Remax company.
No, look, Dylan's watching. Dylan, I just plugged the show at Rhythm and Brews on Saturday. So,
I've been really busy. You know what? I haven't really had a whole lot going on as far as Rebecca and I are really working hard. Rebecca's my business partner. Rebecca Walker. We've been working really hard on our website and our blogs, and we've finally gotten organized with a few fun things that are going to be coming on our website. I can't really say that I have any updates. I found a really great metal taco bar in Hamilton.
I saw that. You went to see Ghost.
I went to see Ghost. I love Ghost. Awesome. I love metal. I just love it. But I always have. And I went and saw this. I went and saw Ghost, and then my son recommended this taco metal bar called Doors in Hamilton. And as Hamilton, never had a bad meal in Hamilton. I've never had a bad meal in Hamilton. Wow. I could say that, honestly. And even that, I was like, this is gonna ruin it. Tacos were like burrito size. It was unbelievable, and they served Wellington beer on tap, so I was pretty happy about that. Anyways, I wish I had more for you. Rebecca and I have just been through a huge transition we're working well together. We have a lot of cool things happening for next year. And we have a lot of announcements for next year. This year, like, has been such a transition, but so far so good. I would say that Remax has been very welcoming and open arms and helpful and informative. My best friend is having a baby.
Oh, awesome.
That's the big update I have. I have to be a better person. I gotta get more tattoos because I feel like this baby, I owe it to be cooler.
No, I think your job as the mom's best friend is to spoil and ruin the child without consequence.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
Right?
Like,
yeah.
I'm so glad. I'm so glad that I have this responsibility now. I'm excited. New best friend coming 2020. I'm going to make t-shirts. That's really all I have for you. Like, other than that, like, we just went to the Children's Foundation Gala.
Yes,
the other
congratulations
weekend.
on that.
We should come with us next year. We got a table.
That's the plan. Yeah.
Unbelievable. They raised 130 plus grand that night.
Excellent.
That night.
Congratulations.
Like, so awesome. I love the Children's Foundation. Like, maybe I should have added the link, but maybe I'll add it in the comments. The Children's Foundation, I grew up really poor, right? Like, I grew up dirt poor, like barely places to live sometimes. And the thing is that things that get sacrificed are things like doing sports or doing activities. The Children's Foundation does it anonymously. So kids can join violin, they can join acting classes, comedy classes, they can go play hockey, and nobody knows that these kids have the subsidy from the Children's Foundation. So I encourage you, if you have a surplus this year, to go and be sparkly, shiny, awesome person and go give to the Children's Foundation. The ability, I think that's where we start making change, is where kids can build the confidence to take the courses that they want, like art classes, piano, writing classes, like, you don't know, you could be funding the next like big author or journalist, or I don't know. I just think that I just love the Children's Foundation with my whole heart. It speaks to me. So we were so excited to have a table at that event, and we'll continue to do so as long as they're doing it.
So let's move ahead to some of the things we put up on ahead of time about Talk for Business. So let's start with the most recent thing, which was there was that election that happened last week. So a lot of people going into it, coming out of it, they were asking me, how is this going to impact things? How is this going to impact things? And my comment was always, you have to wait and see, because it doesn't matter how the election turns out. The ripple effect is unpredictable no matter what. Right. Well, now we know a little bit more. So with the existing Liberal government staying in power but in a minority capacity, you can basically expect there's not going to be a lot of changes when it comes to the mortgage industry. Yeah. You can expect that they're not going to claw back the benchmark rate. I wouldn't see that happening. They seem to be very motivated on expanding on the CMHC first-time buyers incentive program. Yes. So expanding that a little bit so that it's a little bit more compatible with bigger cities. Okay. Yeah. So clawing back some of the restrictions in terms of, okay, maybe you're allowed to earn $150,000 a year versus $120 or whatever. Being more realistic about things like that in some situations. But outside of that, the bigger news is actually not related to related but not related. The bond yield market started getting stronger, which it had been weak, which caused interest rates to drop. But now it's getting stronger, which means interest rates are on their way back up. Whether it's sustainable or not, who knows? We still have to see. We still have to see the economic fallout. Again,
to the more novice about this, the more like interest rates going up are a year-over-year thing. It's not
it's a week-over-week.
Well, it's week-over-week, but I feel like it's more. So, like I always say, real estate, the purchase of real estate, like the interest rates can go up, but you're holding on to this place, you just rent it out, or I don't know. I just don't like those things are good to know, but know that like we're not talking about the 23-24% our parents were paying in the 80s.
No, I say interest rates are going up, but interest rates really right now are just where they were in March. So between March and now they had dipped because of a softer bond market. Now they're back to where they were in March, and where they are in March is lower than where they were in the end of last year, this time last year. So on the grand scheme of things, they are still in a comfortable range,
Right.
right? So you can still get an interest rate below that magic number of 2.8%, because 2.8 is, I wrote a blog on this years ago called 2.8 is the new 42.
Of course.
2.8% interest is where your initial payment, your very first payment, you're actually putting more towards principal than interest.
Okay.
Anything over 2.8%, and there's more going towards interest than principal to begin with.
Okay.
Right? So if you're still in that magic number range right now.
Do you mean 42 of age?
No, 42 is in Life, the Universe, and Everything. You don't know Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy?
You know, I've never seen it. Or watched
read
it? Or read it. No. I know.
Oh,
wow. Is this my homework? Is this my homework now?
There we go. So I out-geeked Sandy. I out-geeked Sandy.
I have a patch jacket that has buttons on the front.
Okay.
I just added more patches, and I bought one that says Irish Wolfhound.
So
there's my dog on it.
So that's the kind of follow-up from the election. Well, what there is of it. I think more importantly, let's look ahead to next year.
Here's where I was at with that. Is I just turned 40, so my 40th birthday was in September.
Yes.
So I think I was thinking, are we talking about midlife? Is that what we're talking about?
No, I'm 46.
I'm hyper vulnerable about it right now.
I'm already gearing towards 50 is the new awesome.
No, I'm cool with it. I just was like, I'm still slightly vulnerable about it. It's fine, and that's why I felt like it's fine. It's fine. Still a puppy, as my 6-year-old friend said.
Yeah.
Anyway, so moving on from that. But so the election, you touched on it a little bit. I'll say from a real estate perspective, something was happening. Like there were houses still selling. I mean, like we see multiple offers still, like first day, like whatever. If you're under that, again, if you're under 500,000 and you're priced right, you are nailing it. Like you are going to get people banging down your door. That's just the way it is. Like if you're priced right, like I say under 500,000, but if you're priced accordingly, there was a definite, like you hit the sandbanks. It's like once the campaign signs went up, I felt like everybody was just like, you know what, we're just going to sit right here.
Part of that was because of there was a lot of rhetoric about whether or not we'd end up with a conservative government, and conservative governments certainly
I was so worried
benefit certain industries over others.
Right.
So it's one of those things where, a lot of people kind of pump the brakes a little bit, but ultimately how the market does and what happens in the real estate market and what happens in the mortgage market doesn't necessarily have anything to do with what's going on in the election. It's supply and demand still. At the root of it, it's supply and demand.
It's supply and demand at the root of it.
Regardless of who's in power, people who need houses, or who want to get a house.
There's always people that are going to need to trade in real estate, but it changes the dynamic a little bit, I think. I think what happens with an election is there's this shaky feeling. I think that comes with campaigns. I think it comes with the media. I think if people get a sense of uncertainty, will my party get in? What do I feel? Who do I feel like voting for? What does the future hold? Kind of thing.
What can I believe? Of all the stuff that's out there, what can I actually believe?
There's a lot of questions swirling. So taking on the idea of moving into an investment, I mean, it really depends on what your personal thoughts are and your personal ideas are about politics. Like I'm not here nor there. I'm very middle ground about these things, but it creates a sense of uncertainty is what I'm getting to. And that uncertainty translates into how people spend their money, so what if I take my money and I invest it in a house, and then the new government comes in and then they take away all those rules. And then next thing you know, like tanks, sand bank, so I think there was a real, personally, me, like on the front lines of real estate trade, I felt it. And then literally the day after the election, We go into multiple offers 3 times. Rebecca and I
And
got a property that we had sitting,
yeah,
and 2 that we were trying to buy.
Yeah, and I think it's fair. I think people are, they kind of for 40 days they go into a hold on wanting to do too much of anything. I think, but we're past that, and we know what the outcome is.
I feel we're past it now. I feel like the conversations I'm having with my buyers and sellers are a little bit more confident and a little bit more encouraged. Well, so I noticed the difference. So the election, we need to think about that as a factor. Like, is there an election?
Yeah.
And I wonder if a mayoral election or if it
they don't play as much. No, because I mean, all they really have control over to some degree are your property taxes because of the services and stuff like that.
Good, because I was asking.
Right. So they don't have the same sway over things like
but when it's a federal election,
election, even provincial election to some degree.
Yeah, I think provincial.
But yeah, so it's one of those things. We'll just be mindful. But I mean, I can even say that in the mortgage industry, a U.S. election actually can impact things here because how our economy does ties directly into what interest rates are. When our economy is stronger, interest rates go up. When our economy is a little weaker, the interest rates go down. So so it's comparative to, and oftentimes our economy is compared to the U.S., right, based on how we are strength against the U.S. dollar and things like that. Yeah, so all of those things can be a factor, but it's an ongoing factor, and it always has been.
It always has been.
So
I'm just saying I will definitely take it into consideration next time, especially because it happens in Guelph specifically. Guelph is a very seasonal market. I would say like the lines are kind of blurred now, but I would say August. It's like you might as well. It's like a zero. It's a zero. End of November to December. So the elections usually happen in the fall, right?
October. Almost always.
Yeah, almost always. Like it always is, unless it gets called, right? But it happens in the fall. So the fall market is the one that tends to suffer. So if I'm faced with someone that says I need to or I want to list my houses in the fall, I'm still going to say we should probably talk about the spring. But can we do that? But I think I'm going to take it into consideration.
And it's certainly something to consider that if you have someone with a listing in September, you might want to say, you know what? We're getting close to that 40-day mark. Let's pull it off and relist after.
Relist after. Rent it out, maybe short-term rental.
Who knows? But, so let's move on to next year. Because really, we are 2 months away from next year.
Are we doing next year predictions yet? I thought I was saying that.
No, we won't do next year predictions.
Okay.
But we can just kind of say.
Last year we did it at the end of the year.
Yeah, but realistically, right now, anybody who we're dealing with, any of our clients who we're dealing with now, are likely not closing till next year.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I have a bunch banked for next year.
Right. So let's take a look at what we anticipate for next year already.
Okay.
Personally, I see that next year is going to be.
Hold on. I'm going to stop you right there. How do you feel like things are right now?
Right now?
Yeah.
I've seen busier November, Decembers.
Same. Last year.
And even the year before.
Last year.
So that's not to say I don't have some closing, but I don't have as much active.
I think I'm going to be very busy for the next month and a half. Extremely busy. And then I have a feeling the bubble is bursting for me right now, and it's going to be super busy the next.
This is kind of there's never you never want to say there's a best case scenario because you always want to, I'm always available to help whomever when they need me. But the way things are right now has enabled me to get things like the website done and set the ball in motion for to deal with the very anticipated busy beginning to next year.
Okay. So now next year. Go.
Yeah, next year I see next year as being something where people are going to realize making an early move out of your mortgage and into paying the penalty and getting into a longer fixed rate mortgage is going to make a lot of sense for a lot of people. I've already had some people do it who had a mortgage last year who the move made sense already. And I have to say this: if anybody's watching or listening, and you have clients or whatever, who, if their mortgage person has not reached out to them on a regular basis to keep in touch, hey Dylan, how you doing? To keep in touch and just say, we're 6 months away, and yours is in November. We're 6 months away, and no, I'm just saying, like, I can see I've got people, and if they're not out there doing the math for you and saying maybe we should look at a move, what's possible, then they're not doing their job. Because a lot of times they're like, this is somebody who I just helped. Do I want to reach out to them again? If you're saving them money, yes, you do. So you should always be on, always having conversations. It's not something you park in your drawer and leave until renewal time. It's a constant conversation. I had people reach out, I'd reach out to them and they're like, hey, I was just going to reach out to you because I saw interest rates are dropping. I'm like, yeah, so here's the thing. Here's the thing.
Here's the thing. So no, you're right. I like it.
And so,
I like it. It's warming.
So there is that. But when those conversations happen, I think it's incumbent on the mortgage professional or mortgage Jedi to then say to them, what are your thoughts in terms of short and long-term goals for staying in this place? Have you talked to your realtor? Right? Because that's another conversation to have. Because if we're looking at moving you into something to save you money, it either better be portable if you're not planning on staying there, or we better do shorter term if you're planning on moving at some point soon.
Well, I think that, and that's where the realtor comes in, is that like market value, right? Like I work in the market every single day. Like most realtors work in the market every single day. This is my only job, and I see it. There's a good chance I've been through a house like yours recently, or I've, done some sort of training or something to be on top of that. So sometimes it's just a matter of like reaching out and being like, hey, can you send me some comparables? And then it gets your mind in the place to be like, you know what, maybe I should, I'm always on top of my people. Like I send random like comparables or updates about like what's selling in the area, so that way it's kind of staying fresh and top in people's minds that, this is how much your house is worth. We did good, like feel reassured, go to bed tonight feeling reassured. So do I. But again, I think that looking at your home purchase as an investment, not just a home. Like maybe I'm cynical and I look things as businessy, but I look at my home purchase as an investment in myself, right? So I'm constantly thinking of that when I think of my clients' purchases.
It's funny because I always feel the people who do the best are the people who make the calculated moves. And when I say a calculated move, so there are a lot of people who move for a variety of impulse reasons, right? So one of those reasons might be, I'm getting tired of the commute back and forth to work, and so I want to move closer. Okay, that's a good reason, but it's an impulse decision. If you do a calculated move and say, okay, we're looking at a place that needs to probably have X number of dollars put into it in the next 10 years. Are we better off putting that money into it? Or are we better off selling? Right? Okay, here's what we anticipate the next 5 years of our life to look like. Is where we are now going to accommodate that? Or is a move likely to be done? And if so, what do we want? And start the conversation early. If you start that conversation before you really start looking,
right,
then you're gonna be in the driver's seat throughout the whole process.
Well, and I think about like when we're shopping for houses, like I get people that are like, oh, it's like a romantic move, like heartstrings purchase. There's heartstring purchases and then there's smart. So that's why we ask the questions, things like, is this a 3-year home for you? Or is this a 10-year home for you? Is this a 20? Is this just you're purchasing to stay in this house forever?
Right.
And that's fine. People do that. Like, ride it out. It's a real estate investment. You'll do fine. But if you're like the type of person that, likes to move every 3 years, you need to tell me that up front, because that depends on where you're spending your money, what neighborhood, how much work needs to be done to the home, what the price is, how much that work's going to cost. Like everything kind of starts to factor in. It's a tighter timeline. So like I think that I think that it comes down to being a bit more savvy. I think in this market, heading into the spring, to touch back onto what's happening with the spring, I just wrote a blog, and it's in my links, is the Hair Real Estate Collective blog. And again, we'll have more and more of that, and the website's just going to keep getting better and better with the fun things that we're doing. But if you go on there, I just wrote a blog about it, and I am 100% behind the idea that this is a buyer's market.
Yes.
100%.
Yeah.
It's
a savvy buyer's market.
It's a savvy buyer. Yeah, right now it's a savvy buyer's market. I have a really strong feeling that in the spring, I think it's going to continue. My gut's telling me that I have a really good feeling that buyers are going to hold the reins.
So let's talk about what a savvy buyer's market is versus a buyer's market.
Yeah.
Because I think it's a term we just made up right now. But a savvy...
It's true. We did. Savvy with two V's.
A savvy buyer's market versus a regular buyer's market. So it's a buyer's market, which means...
It definitely is.
Especially depending on the price point that you're looking at. A savvy buyer's market means there is good houses to be had for appropriate pricing if you're patient.
That's right.
However, there are still emotional buyers out there who can easily get got and be, and I don't mean get got as in get conned, but fall into the wave of you have to overpay, you have to go in with no conditions, you have to.
Yeah, no,
they can get swept up in that emotional wave. That's not being a savvy buyer.
No.
Because that could still happen if you're not being savvy.
Yeah. No, you have to be smart about it.
So it is certainly a savvy buyer's market. There is certainly opportunity out there to get good rates. I have a lender right now, and this is hilarious to me, but I can't wait to see Sandy's reaction to this.
Is it the same? It might be the same as the Jamie's now doing comedy stand-up live.
I have a lender who is offering, where most people are offering somewhere around 2.69, 2.79, somewhere in there. Some even as high as 2.89. I have a lender who's offering 2.39, 2.49. Okay? Now, here's the catch.
This is what I'm thinking.
They have also said these rates are still in effect, but because of how busy we are, it is taking a minimum of 7 to 10 business days for us to respond to any applications. Tell me a buyer who can wait 7 to 10 business days to hear back on their financing. So this is the thing. Like, here's the thing. Can I get somebody a very low rate? Yes. Can we do it and still have you satisfy your condition of financing in time? No.
Well, I'll say no. So remember, I'm queen of 3 days. 3 days. I call you and I'm like,
mandatory 5.
3 days.
Jamie, 3 days.
3 days. 3 days. 3. How about 3? How about 3? How about 3? How about 3.5?
Wait, King Kong Bundy. 5.
3. Yeah, right. And I'm just like, no, 3 days. 3 days. I was in competition. 3 days. But I feel like, you know what? I just put an offer in with 7 days, like 7 business days. I put 7 business days in there.
So,
and, because again, this whole leaning on this buyer's market thing, sellers are kind of having to kind of deal with what comes to them. My problem, we could go on about this for days, as the agents on the other side, not being able to handle the idea of a 7 business day, or not being savvy enough to think for their clients and not themselves, so that's another thing I need to get over, but it is what it is. But
a couple scenarios where it does work. If there's a condition of sale in the offer.
Oh my God.
If there's a condition of sale, you can say, don't worry about the 7 business days for financing because we still have to satisfy this condition of sale. Right. So there's times where it can work. And I mean, you could always have, like, I could always do a letter saying, this person is pre-approved, we don't anticipate any issues.
Right.
The lender has just asked us to give 7 to 10 business days.
Okay.
Right? And those are all options that can happen. But ultimately, it's just one of those things where it's just one of those things where left hand and right hand aren't working together.
So and I like that.
Excuse me.
But a 5 business days is pretty typical.
Yeah, exactly.
It's pretty typical. If 5 business days is pretty typical. I think I could make a 6, a 7 work if it's like midweek, because then it doesn't go over 2 weekends.
I mean, it's always a case by case basis. If it's a house that's been on the market for 2 months,
yeah, I guess so.
Right. So there's always scenarios where it can work. It was just a really interesting one for me.
Yeah.
So
do you think you could carry this for a minute while I run to the washroom?
All right.
Here we go. Jamie's gonna be by himself.
I'm gonna bust out my comedy routine.
Yeah.
Sorry. I'm just gonna move my.
I'm so sorry.
There we go. Okay. So this is Jamie. We are live. Sandy's taking a washroom break. So unprofessional. All right. So let's talk. We're talking about the new year, and I guess now, without Sandy here, I can talk specifically about the mortgage side of things. And here's what I'm going to tell some people. If you're thinking at all about, you might be sitting there and saying, you know what, we do want to buy in the new year. Maybe you don't quite have your down payment saved up. Maybe you don't. Maybe you're changing jobs, and you know that you're going to be under a probation period or things of that nature. Reaching out and getting the ball rolling sooner than later is crucial right now. And the main reason for that is kind of what I talked about with the 7 business days from that one lender. All lenders are busy at various points in time. There are certain times in the market when they're busier than others. And chances are if you're if you're out there looking, other people are out there looking. And so if you have she did it. I don't think she washed her hands.
No, I did.
So if you
spend most of my time just washing my hands. I've been a parent for 20 years. I'm all about them quick bathrooms. Actually, my hands are so wet.
So getting the ball rolling as quickly as possible, because all lenders get busy at various points in time. And so even if you have a pre-approval, converting that pre-approval to an approval can still take, 3 business days, 4 business days, up to 5 business days if it's an insured mortgage and they have to get an insurer involved, depending where the property is. All of those things can factor into it. So getting the ball rolling as quickly as possible. So you might not be thinking, you might think, you know what, we're thinking of making a move next year in the summer before the kids start school,
right?
What have you. Get the ball rolling now. Start having conversations now, because it gives you, first off, something could come up in April and you could say, this is a home we didn't think we could get. You know what? Pulling the kids out of school, commuting back and forth to school for the extra month and a half is worth it, or whatever.
Yeah, I've had many clients do that.
Right.
And
so
I just had this conversation. I think you and I should start off. I think you and I say this almost every end of I think last year we said this at the beginning of every Facebook Live. The year before. Yeah. Like sometimes it could take me a year, or us a year to sell your house. Like it could, and that's from like inception, like talking to you. Okay, I called Sandy, I came to your house, I did the walkthrough. Have you talked to your mortgage person? Okay, why are you selling? Is it because your mortgage is up? Do you want to talk to a second person? Do you want more information? Like once that mortgage comes up, so like I know I've been in my house for a while. Mine's up in, I think a year. But like there's so many factors to think about, like at that time, and not just me giving you a letter saying, here's what your house I think would be worth in this market right now. There's so many things, like decluttering. Do you rent a storage unit? Are we staging? Are we putting it up now? Do I know about 5 people that want to buy your house at this minute? Like, is it a good idea right now? Or is it a good idea in the spring? Like, it's such a game plan to work out, let alone on the mortgage side. Like there's so many things to talk about.
New builds are a completely different ball of wax.
Different animal. Oh my God. way different animal.
I have
delays. There's actually a builder in town that's doing like some major delays. Was supposed to close in August, is now closing in February.
I have a client who was supposed to close December of this year. No. December of last year originally, got pushed to December of this year, then got pushed to January of next year, and then I just got heard that it got pushed again until April.
What?
Yeah.
We're talking later. I want to know who that is.
I don't know who the builder is. Well, I do, but
no, we're going to talk about it. And if you want to know more.
So anyway, so those things happen, right? When you're doing a new build, those things happen. And so to
be honest, they really do happen.
Right.
It does
so
happen.
You can't really list where you're living right now.
No. When somebody tells me, oh, I have a new build, I'm like, good.
Yeah. When do you list? Because you have no guarantee that place is actually going to close.
I'm like, and the whole time I'm like texting like my landlords, asking them, do you have a place to rent?
Yeah. Yeah. That's
like, do you have a place, a temporary rental for my people, just in case? Because that's the thing. Do you like that beer? Did it work out for you?
It's yummy.
It's yummy?
It's yummy.
Okay.
But
no, it's good. I just wondering if you like it.
Yeah.
I like this.
Good.
I like it better in the can. I did have it before. I like it better in the can. Just like all of it.
It's like
better.
that commercial. I like it in the can.
I like it in the can. So yeah, no, so
just so you know, she did not take her beer with her.
No, I keep one in the bathroom.
Yeah.
Zing.
It's like Homer Simpson where you have cold beers and behind
the toilet. Yeah. Oh man. So it's just the earlier we could talk about your home sale as a mortgage agent, as be like, this is another blog that I'm putting out there, is when do I start selling my home? Sometimes it takes us a year. Sometimes it takes us from inception of conversation. That's why I'm like, if I have people that bought 3 years ago, I'm talking to you. I'm sending you things. We're having a conversation, because there's a good chance that in the next 2 to 3 years, you're thinking about selling, and because your lifestyle has changed, or your, basically lifestyle change,
yep.
Or your ideas have changed just with that house, of what you would want. You've been to your friends' houses and things like that. You have different ideas now, and you have some equity. So now you're thinking about it. It's not just a sales tactic, and I hate that, but it's also thinking about your investment.
So it's interesting. You use the term invest in real estate, and you hear it all the time, and people just accept it as you invest in real estate. But so few people think of the way they pay for that real estate as an investment.
Mm-hmm.
They don't think of a mortgage as an investment. They think of it as a debt.
Yeah, but it's an investment.
I constantly, if you want, go to my website, watch the videos. I constantly refer to your mortgage as an investment. It should be treated as an investment strategy.
Yeah.
You're borrowing a lump sum of money to put on an asset that increases in value. It's just like if you were getting an RRSP loan.
Yes.
Right? So your mortgage is an investment, and it should be treated as such. So to sit there and say, I need to pay it off as quickly as possible, maybe, if that financially makes the most sense. If there are other higher interest debts that are costing you more money, you should be paying those off first. So it's all about, so the difference, the reason why there's a disconnect is because the difference is, instead of making money by being shrewd on your mortgage, you save money by being shrewd on your mortgage. And it's easier to save money than it is to make money.
It is.
So, when you partner with somebody who's sending you, every 4 to 6 months is sending you a mortgage report saying, here's where you are, here's where there might be opportunity, here's what we should be watching. If you're not getting that kind of service, you're with the wrong people.
Yeah. So, and I think that, so I just had this conversation with a first-time home buyer. I have it with a first-time home buyer, but it's funny because I just recently had this much more stronger conversation, and I'm fine-tuning that into how to really word it properly. But a lot of people look at their, like, they get the approval from the bank, and the approval is usually way up here. Sometimes it's way up here, and really that's not what you want to spend on because of your lifestyle. Maybe you like to travel, maybe you plan on having a kid soon, maybe you want to adopt a litter of dogs. I get that. But you want to stay within your budget. But people look at it as a debt sometimes, like most of the time. Really, you should look at it as, this person has approved me for this interest rate to invest in myself. Because you're cleared money. This is one of those, like, you put money down and it, like the equity, it becomes a like a clear dollar amount that you could take and move on to the next property. But even if you're not, like, people think real estate investor, they think, oh, it's someone that owns multiple properties. No, if you own your home or your apartment or the apartment your mom lives in or whatever it is, you are a real estate investor. You are taking what somebody has said, you know what, with your income and your credit score and your debt to income ratio,
Yeah.
like that from Jamie, that I can lend you X amount. You should be taking that as this is the money I can invest in myself. And then trusting it with somebody that says, okay, but how much do you want to spend? And let's be smart with this investment. Let's not overexert ourselves. Let's not go crazy. This isn't, I found $50 in my winter jacket, like, kind of,
Right.
Money. This is like, let's go nuts kind of money. This is, I need to savvily invest in myself so I can carry this forward. And then as you start carrying it forward, you start to see the investment. Because then eventually, when you decide to downsize, which I see all the time, you're at that point where you're like, oh, now I'm going to take this and I'm going to go buy this, 2-bedroom condo, and I'm going to have all this cash, and it's cash that you wouldn't have made, like, I don't know. I just, even if it's just, that's for the individual person.
It's interesting because
That's
a lot of people
terms.
view the they anticipate getting a mortgage to be an adversarial relationship. They think lenders are looking at them and saying, okay, prove to me why you should get a mortgage because I don't want to give you this money. And that's the exact opposite of the truth. What you have to do is Sandy's just.
If there's a reconnection happening.
But they have to be fiscally responsible, right? They want to make sure that, okay, I want to lend you money, but I need to make sure that you're capable of paying me back and that we're not going to overextend you by me giving you this money. Places where that doesn't happen. Generally speaking, credit cards don't really check to see if you're going to be overextended by using the credit card. The whole purpose for getting a credit card is because you don't have cash to use. So It is for the use of overextension. Rent. When they're renting to you, all they care about is, do you have an income? And, does it look like you have enough income to afford this rent? They don't think debt ratio or things like that. As a matter of fact, most people, if you look at your rent to debt ratio, it's probably closer to 50 or 60% versus the 44 that a mortgage allows for. So, they're being fiscally responsible because they're looking out for your best interest because it's in their best interest to do so. Right? So it's not an adversarial relationship. It's very much we want to find a way to make this happen for you.
It's a mutually beneficial relationship. Yeah. And that's a lot of the hard conversation that I have. Especially with people buying their home, like a home, like, or selling one house. And I work with a lot of first-time sellers, and selling one home and buying another, like that. That's where this conversation comes up of, maybe we should talk to that next person. Maybe we should talk to, and where your money's best invested. There's that.
Yes. What else did you want to talk about? You had a whole list. You had a
government incentives.
You want to talk about the government incentives? Well, we
got to talk about Star Wars at some point.
Well, there's not much to talk about with the government incentives because nothing has changed with them.
Okay.
In terms of what they are is still what they are. Now, as part of their election platform, the Liberals